Hello, my name is Bessie Denian. I'm from Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation, and I'm here today to walk you through our election law that we've been working on. Governance Office staff is Melissa Hotane, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, Carol Johnson, who's the Self-Government Coordinator, Kimberly McKay Daniels, who is the Communicator Coordinator, Sandra Cooling, Information Manager, Laura Pratt, Dakota Language Writer/Coordinator, Cheyenne Ironman, Lands Manager, Jocelyn Ross, Administrative Assistant, Daryl Hodkins, Justice Coordinator. The Sioux Valley Dakota Nation Election Committee consists of the following people. Our chairman is Rusty Taylor. There's Tim Washichina, Wally Essie, Frank McKay, Tennyson Pratt, Melissa Hotane, and myself. So the new Sioux Valley Dakota Nation election law's purpose is to ensure that the Sioux Valley Dakota Nation elections will be a smooth and straightforward process that will provide proper safeguards. The process, the election committee has been meeting to review the 2015 election law, identifying issues that have made revisions to better suit the community's needs now. The community engagement. We acknowledge the fact that we've been hit with a pandemic and we can't necessarily gather or have regular meetings like we normally do. So we've tried our best to adapt our ways to using the website. We're trying to get information packages for people, utilizing the Sioux Valley Dakota Nation committee newsletters and other social medias to try to reach everyone in Sioux Valley. We have information packages that include the draft of the new election law that we revised, and the changes that were needed between the 2015 and the 2021. Members of the election committee are available at any time to answer any questions that any community member has about the law. So please reach out. We do need feedback, and it is important to everyone. And don't forget to vote on the law, which is coming up in April 2021. So please remember that. So let's give you the 2021 election law summary. What is the purpose of that summary? It was to outline the protocol for Sioux Valley Dakota Oyate citizens to elect their chief and council. Section 3, we propose to compromise of 1 chief and 5 councilors. They will be subjected to random drug tests. We as a committee also looked at the process of how we go through for the 2021 election law. We looked at the electoral officer. Personnel Selection Committee will appoint an election officer whose responsibility is to maintain the election file. This person cannot be a candidate or a voter. The voters list and addresses the electoral officer will receive. A list that outlines the names of Sioux Valley Dakota Nation citizens that are eligible to vote. Their last known addresses of citizens also who live off reservations. We also looked at the nomination process, and we narrowed it down to the eligibilities. Candidates can run for the position of chief or councilor, but not both. 400 to run for the chief, 200 for the councilors. Candidates must provide documentation and deposits within 30 days following the nomination meeting. Requirements will include citizenship of Sioux Valley Dakota Nation, 30 years old for the chief, 21 years old for the councilors. Nominated at nomination meeting. Drug tests, child abuse registry checks, If you're under 60 years of age, you must complete a grade 12 education. Criminal record check. Not convicted of any indictable offenses or convict any summary conviction within the last 5 years. The nomination meeting will be 3 hours in length, held 65 days before Election Day. Notices will be posted and mailed out to the mailing list at least 30 days prior, so everyone gets a chance to know. Electors can only nominate or second a total of 2 times. Nominations can be made orally or at the meeting or by mail, if received before the time set for the meeting. The meeting shall begin by reading out mail-in nominations first. At the end of the meeting, if there is not enough nominations for the amount of positions available, there will be a second nomination meeting night. If only one person is nominated for chief, that person is acclaimed. If after the second nomination meeting, the number of candidates or counselors do not exceed the number of positions, the nominated for counselor will be acclaimed. Acclamations. If the position is filled by acclamation, notices will be provided by postings in the community and by mail to those who do not reside on Sioux Valley Dakota Nation lands. Withdrawals for candidates. A candidate can withdraw at any point before closing of the polls, but where the withdrawal is less than 30 to 5 days before the election, their name will remain on the ballot and given out to the mail-out ballots. A public forum is an opportunity for candidates to make a presentation and take part in a debate. It's to be held at least 15 days before the election day and to be held in a fair and respectful manner. So let's talk about voting. We've changed the voting process due to the pandemic. We've seen how the advanced polls can be affected in today's world. So we decided to change it to mail-in ballots for all Sioux Valley Dakota Nation members. But mail-in ballots have to be mailed out 30 days before the election to those who have requested one. Voters must request a mail-in ballot package to be received at least 6 days before the election. Mail-in ballots will include marking the ballot, completing the voter declaration form, and by sending a self-addressed stamped envelope that we will provide to you so you can send your vote back in to us. Voters will be only counted if received before the polls close on voting day. The only in-person actual voting we will have will be on reserve on election day. The polling station will be reopened from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the third Thursday of October in an election year. A voter can return a mail-in ballot to vote in person or provide written affirmation that the mail-in ballot was lost. Go. So what's the process of counting votes? How did we count votes? How will we count votes? For the mail-in ballots, as soon as practical after the polls have closed, the electoral officer and deputy electoral officer shall publicly open each envelope containing the mail-in ballot and place all acceptable ballots in the ballot box. The in-person, immediately after placing mail-in ballots into the ballot box, publicly open all ballot boxes and examine each ballot box to either reject or accept the ballots. After counting all votes, the electoral officer shall publicly declare candidates with the highest amount of votes. In the event of a tie, there will be a recount, And if the tie remains, the electoral officer will draw to break the tie. So now let's talk about the appeals. The Election Appeal Board, to be comprised of 5 citizens or a minimum of 3 citizens, appointed by elders at least 100 days before the election to ensure that it's fair. The board cannot run the election or vote in the election. The appeals procedure: the candidate or voter can file an appeal within 15 days after the election day. And if they believed there was corrupt practices, violation of the law, or a candidate that was ineligible for any nominations, appeal will be included with a $500 fee and affidavit evidence. Candidates with an electoral officer will then have 15 days to reply. The appeal board will render a decision once having reviewed all the material. Alright, so let's talk vacancy. Office of chief or counselor can become vacant upon a resolution of council if one of the following occur. A council member fails to act in accordance with the Constitution of the people, fails to attend 3 duly convened meetings, or a council or community meetings without any reasonable notice or good cause, is convicted of an indictable offense. If someone passes away or resigns from office, or becomes ineligible to hold office by virtue of the law, or tests positive for illegal drugs, or refuses to take a random drug test. So let's talk about the terms of office. 2 years, consistent with the Constitution of the people. The offenses and penalties we looked at too in sections 18 and 19. It set out a number of offenses under the law, including interfering with the election, unauthorized voting, unauthorized candidacy, intimidating voters or candidates, etc., etc. Penalties include fines that are up to $5,000 and imprisonment for up to 5 years. Review, section 23. The law shall be reviewed every 4 years. So in conclusion, what can you expect from us on the Election Law Committee? Well, we're going to be hosting follow-up engagement sessions with Sioux Valley Dakota Nation. We're still working on the in-person because of the pandemic. We're discovering the virtual stuff. So in the spring of 2021, we're doing our best to reach you guys. The citizens will also have the opportunity to vote next month in April. Please, please spread the word. Vote on this election law that we've been working so hard for. So if there's anything else that you need as community members, if we didn't cover anything, if you still have questions, please, please, I urge you to contact us. Let us know. We need the feedback too. This is for everybody. So you can get a hold of us at Sioux Valley Election Committee at the Governance Office, P.O. Box 38, Griswold, Manitoba, ROMOSO. Call 204-855-2760. Or email us too. We're self.government@svdngovernance.com.